I want to start with Jimmy Kimmel, who went on the podcast of comedian Sarah Silverman and said a bunch of crazy, okay, including, I'll just give you this one for flavor. He's yet another leftist who's thinking about fleeing America. So afraid is he of Trump.
And so I did get Italian citizenship.
You do?
I do.
That's amazing.
I do have that. And what's going on is as bad as you thought it was going to be.
Way worse.
It's so much worse.
Jimmy Kimmel walks onto his stage like it's still 2005. He's got his cue cards ready, that awkward smirk on his face, and punchlines that hit about as hard as a Nerf dart. But tonight isn't business as usual. Megyn Kelly doesn't show up as a friendly guest. She walks in like a one-woman wrecking crew, no filter, no hesitation, and metaphorically carrying a flamethrower. What happens next isn't late-night comedy at all. It's more like a demolition derby, where Kimmel is stuck in the driver's seat, Kelly is the bulldozer, and the audience is left wondering if Jimmy even read the waiver before stepping into the arena.
Oh, sure, because we look to Jimmy Kimmel to figure out insights into how Donald Trump is thinking. The absurdity of this. I would say go, but I love Italy too much to say that. They don't deserve this. I'm sorry, but he should go to Ireland. They do deserve this. They're as woke as they come. My people, who are like among the toughest people on earth, or were, have gone completely woke. But, you know, I'm Irish and Italian, so I have empathy. And he should not go to Italy. It's too beautiful a country to host Jimmy Kimmel. And why would they have given him citizenship to begin with? But in any event, he should go. He should definitely leave. But he won't. He's just saying that to get plaudits from fellow leftist Sarah Silverman and from people.
For years, Kimmel has played the role of Hollywood's court jester, softly lobbing jokes to celebrities, taking shots at middle America, and acting like his cue cards were sacred rules handed down from Mount Comedy. He's polished, he's predictable, and he's convinced the crowd is there to admire him, not actually laugh. Then, Megyn Kelly steps in. All of a sudden, the jokes don't just miss the mark. They bounce, swing right back around, and smack Jimmy in the face like a boomerang stamped with one clear message: reality check.
The day when I was on the primetime of Fox and you were on the primetime of CNN, a couple of hours after our shows ended, late night comics would come on, and they occasionally would make us laugh, Piers. I mean, occasionally they understood that they were in the game of making everyone laugh. As you know, they've abandoned that game now, and they're just political operatives out there. Colbert, Kimmel, Seth Meyers, who I struggle to even mention that guy's name. He's such an absolute prick.
See, Kelly doesn't rely on punchlines. She shows up with receipts, whole filing cabinets full of them, and a verbal flamethrower that leaves real scorch marks. And the irony? It's hard to miss. Kimmel wasn't always Hollywood's moral referee. Roll the tape back to the Man Show. There's Jimmy on stage, chugging beer and cracking jokes that today would get him canceled in about 5 minutes. Fast forward to now, and suddenly he's the self-appointed priest of woke comedy. Yeah, sure.
He will never leave his very lucrative but loser of a show on ABC's late night. He's not going to abandon that because feeling important and like he matters is too important to Jimmy Kimmel. But he's got to get stroked by leftists by saying he's gotten Italian citizenship, and he may indeed exercise it by leaving a United States that even Donald Trump must feel has gone too far. Okay, not our guy for insights on Trump's thinking.
It's like watching the class clown turn into the hall monitor overnight, tattling to the teacher while still wearing the whoopee cushion. The same guy who built his career on edgy jokes is now lecturing everyone like America's bedtime therapist. If hypocrisy had a late-night time slot, it would look a lot like Jimmy Kimmel Live. And Megyn Kelly, she spotted that contradiction from a mile away.
Comforting words for them, Piers?
Just get over yourselves. Honestly, it's so pathetic watching grown men weep because actually the real reason they're weeping, they know they've spent years over-demonizing Trump as the new Hitler, and he's going to wreck everything and wreck America. He's terrible. He's a fascist. He's a neo-Nazi, blah, 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 blah. And what happened this week? America, having already seen Trump as president for 4 years and seen 4 years of what then followed under Biden and Harris, they went out in record numbers, white, black, Latino, men, women, all demographics, and they voted for apparently the new...
Kelly's resume says it all. Fox News, NBC, and now her own independent media empire. She's built her career by charging straight into controversy like it's a full-contact sport. Unlike Jimmy, she doesn't need canned laughter or a flashing applause sign to feel validated. When she goes after someone, it's not a cute clapback. It's open-heart surgery with a chainsaw. So when Kimmel tried to take a swing at her, he didn't just poke the bear. He pulled the pin on a grenade and handed it to himself.
Jimmy Kimmel was very upset that Donald Trump took a shot at Taylor Swift. Trump was making fun of the fact that she got booed openly at the Super Bowl and he got cheered to the high heavens. And Jimmy Kimmel didn't much like that and had the following to say.
At the game, he got a big thrill because some of the crowd booed Taylor Swift.
Okay. By the way, I was there all the way through and she was gone. She was missing in action for most of the second half. So I don't know what he's talking about. Trump left at his previously designated time, which was, I think, 8:02. That had been scheduled, and that is when he left. And it's a little harder, Jimmy, when you're the president of the United States, because if you leave when everybody else is leaving, you completely F them over because no one can move anywhere. It's total gridlock in the city.
Kelly didn't bother with quick one-liners. She went straight for the jugular. Jimmy's hypocrisy. How does a guy who built his career on offensive skits suddenly act like America's moral coach? How does a comedian who thrived on shock value turn into a finger-wagging Manny, lecturing people between soft celebrity interviews? These weren't jokes, they were mirror shots. And Jimmy can brush off insults. But when the mirror shows the emperor with no clothes, the laughing stops fast.
I don't watch Kimmel. I can't stand him. The best thing I can say about Jimmy Kimmel is that he's friends with Adam Carolla, who's a truly decent, honorable, great guy. But Kimmel doesn't strike me that way. But Fallon is not a bad guy. Fallon is a sweetheart. But Fallon's shtick is completely empty and has lost all sense of entertainment. I take him out of the three of them any day of the week. But Fallon's programming, forgive me, it's not smart. In no way is it intellectually.
Hollywood, of course, rushed to defend its own. Kelly is irrelevant, they said. But irrelevant people don't trend for days. Irrelevant people don't spark online brawls across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok all at once. The real issue is this. Jimmy's numbers are slipping. Late-night TV isn't slowly fading. It's already embalmed, dressed up, and waiting to be buried. And why? Because these shows stopped being funny. They turned into predictable, smug TED Talks with a few punchlines taped on at the end.
Just this past 2 weeks, they had the Kennedy Center honors the other night where Joe Biden couldn't say Dionne Warwick. He kept calling her Diane, and he didn't know who Barry Gibb was. He kept calling him Billy. You know who else was honored? At the Kennedy Center. You know who else? Billy Crystal. Just FYI, do you know who once opened up the Academy Awards in full blackface?
Oh,
Billy
yeah.
Crystal. Billy Crystal. And do you know who's going to be hosting the Academy Awards this year? Jimmy Kimmel. Do you know who's worn blackface repeatedly and spoken inner city sort of urban accent saying she needs to darn those socks? Jimmy Kimmel.
Meanwhile, Kelly doesn't need a laugh track, a network badge, or a room full of writers recycling the same old jokes. She talks straight to her audience, and millions listen because they know it's her voice, not an intern typing from a cubicle 3 floors away. That's why this clash felt different. Jimmy represents a fading format, kept alive by studio lights and habit. Kelly represents authenticity, sharp commentary, and an internet that doesn't need network approval to go viral. Goliath had cue cards. David had Wi-Fi.
Just last week, his average was, in the overall, meaning all viewers, 1.5 million. In the key demo, 236,000. Tucker would have been embarrassed to pull that on any night he was on the Fox News channel. That's what they're getting now. Tucker's numbers were 3 times what Jimmy Kimmel gets. And Tucker's little basement video that he did from clearly like his cabin that he broadcasts out of Maine in literally has 21 million views. Okay? 21 million views. Whereas, as I point out, on ABC, a massive network that comes into your home for free, that you have to make no effort to find, at best, Jimmy Kimmel can get 1.5 million. He needs to have a little self-perspective before going out there and hurling these insults because he looks like...
The fallout was brutal. Kimmel tried to play it off, but the internet doesn't forget. Clips of Kelly exposing his hypocrisy went viral, and suddenly Jimmy wasn't trending for a joke. He was the joke. The PR spin, dead on arrival. Late-night fans tried to defend him, but their excuses were thinner than a Hollywood juice cleanse. It's just comedy, they said. Yeah, except Kelly wasn't laughing at the joke. She was laughing at the hypocrisy dressed up in a suit and tie.
All know what they saw. They saw what we saw. They saw the frail elderly man who needed help getting off the stage. They're just too chicken shit to tell us about it because they accurately deduced that he could still be the Democratic nominee and they don't want to ding him up. Maybe you give Barbara a pass. Who gives a damn what this singer saw or says? But you know what? Jimmy Kimmel happens to be employed by ABC, which happens to have a rather large news organization. And he has been one of President Trump's most vocal critics. Where are you, Jimmy? On vacation?
And here's the punchline. Comedy is meant to punch up, not sideways. But Jimmy stopped being a comedian and became more like a lecture hall with commercial breaks. Kelly called it out, plain and simple. She showed that late night isn't funny anymore, it's just self-righteous monologues with applause tracks built in. And the internet loved her for saying what everyone was already thinking. Comedy has gone soft.
The Sunday morning show with Stephanopoulos into the evening Academy Awards broadcast with Kimmel and ABC elevating, the blackface lovin' Kimmel. They, at the same time, fired Chris Harrison, host of The Bachelor, for trying to defend one contestant on, The Bachelorette for saying, gee, I know I went to this antebellum party, a couple years ago. I guess I didn't see anything wrong with it. And all he said was, are we judging her by today's standards or are we judging her by, old standards, whatever. He was basically trying to say.
Kimmel, once the master roaster, had become the roast. Kelly turned him into the poster child for everything wrong with late night TV. Stale, smug, and running on autopilot. He tried to move on, tossing out new jokes and aiming at new targets. But every clip, every monologue, carried the shadow of Kelly's takedown. The guy had been turned into a meme. And memes don't disappear, they linger, haunting you.
Padma Lakshmi. She, for some reason, decided to leave the kitchen and to get up in my grill back in 2018 on NBC, and she lectured me that caricaturing another race perpetuates the dehumanization of people of color. And she did go on Jimmy Kimmel.
Political show, cultural show, and it allows me to artistically with entertainment, say what I want to say. Well, show rather than say what I would say if I got on my...
So I'm sure in the next bit, she must have gone after Kimmel for his long history of misogyny and race
controversy about whether you ketchup or no ketchup.
Well, where do you stand on the ketchup on the pasteles?
And that's the delicious irony. Jimmy Kimmel, the so-called comedian, was left speechless. Megyn Kelly, the journalist, ended up the accidental comic genius. She didn't even need a punchline, she just made Jimmy the joke, and the entire internet roared. The message was clear. You don't need Hollywood's machine to dominate anymore. Kimmel had the network. Kelly had authenticity. In 2025, authenticity wins every time. When the smoke clears, the guy with cue cards is still reading someone else's jokes, while the woman with the sharp tongue is writing the script everyone is actually watching.